Hello guys, my name is Brad Ambundo. I want to welcome you to Tutopini Electrical Engineering YouTube channel. Today we're going to tackle lines, slope, and the equation of a line. Let's get into it. Okay, so what is a line? That's probably the first thing we should answer. Or rather, what are the attributes of a line? So a line has to be straight. A line has to be straight. The other thing, a line has 2 points. It has 2 points. And then it has a slope. A line has a slope. What is a slope? A slope is how a line rises or falls. Rising or falling of a line. Okay. It's how a line rises or falls. So let's have an example of a line. I'll draw it here. So we are working in 2 dimensions, in 2D, and conventionally we usually have this as our y, and we usually have this as our x-axis. So this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. So the values that go up are y's, and the values that move from left to right are x's. So let's draw an arbitrary line here. Sorry, line, you know. Okay, so we have a line here, and this line is straight at first. That's the first thing, okay? The other thing, it has 2 points. As you can see, we have 1 point here, we have the second point here, and they have been joined together to make a line. The other thing, it has a slope. There is a way in which it is rising, like this. For example, this line is rising up, okay? If we had something going down like this, it will be falling down. So this qualifies to be a line. So a line has 2 points. So here we are going to have, this is point x1 here, okay? This is point x1, and here is point x2, and then from here is point y1, then from here going like this, it is point y2. So we have this point having a coordinate x2, y2, okay? So we're going to give it its coordinates x2, y2, and we have this point here having its coordinates. What are its coordinates? Yes, x1, y1, okay? So it has its coordinates as x1, y1. So we have 2 coordinates, x1, y1, and x2, y2. So we're supposed to explain what a slope is. So a slope is definitely known as a rise of a line all over the run of the line. A lot of L's and R's here. So what do we mean by rise? Rising is how is the line rising in accordance to the y dimension. So rising up, and then running, how is it running from left to right, okay? That's the running. In other terms, mathematical terms, it is usually known as, the slope is the change in y, as you can see, the rise is y, okay, all over the change in x. The run is x. Mathematically, we write it as change in y all over change in x. Okay, so when you see a triangle, it usually means a change. So the change in y all over the change in x. Now, when you get to see such kind of things, don't get scared of maths. They are only just arbitrary values that are put there to explain a concept in mathematics, or else we would have been writing them in English, and that would not make so much sense. So just bear with me, okay? So a change in y all over a change in x. So, or a rise all over a run. So you can see this is the rise from y1 to y2, okay? And then this is the run from x1 to x2, right? Good. So we want to do what? We want to get what is the slope of this line. The slope of this line is going to be the change in y over change in x, or the rise over the run, and that is gotten by the rise is y2 minus y1, which we got from the coordinates, okay? So y2 minus y1, you could say y1 minus y2 as the rise, but that will make you work with negative numbers. Like you see, if for example this is 0 here, this could be probably 1, and this could be probably 5, you see? So when you take 1 minus 5, will give you negative 4, and we don't like working with negative numbers at this level, first of all, okay? So let's just work with the positive numbers. Or else, if you're comfortable with that, if you're starting from here going upwards, then it means you're also going to minus x1 to x2, okay? But now I would advise you to take the rise as y2 minus y1 to give us the difference, and then x2 minus x1 to give us the difference, okay? We are looking for the difference in this distance all over the difference in this distance, right? Okay, so the difference in this distance is going to be change in y, which is y2 minus y1 all over the difference in this distance is going to be what? Is going to be x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1. That is going to give us our slope or our gradient. That is how we write it mathematically. We give it an m. So if we want to express a line in terms of an equation, it usually is in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. What does this mean? It means if you want to get the value of y, the value of the rise, it's equivalent to m, and m we've already understood that it's the what? It's the slope, the rising or the falling of the line. It usually is the rising or the falling of the line multiplied by the x coordinate, okay, plus the y-intercept. That is what we mean. So here comes, we are trying to get this equation, and if you want now, if you are given, for example, a question, and then the question gives you 2 points, and then from these 2 points you're supposed to deduce what is the equation of the line. Let's do an example so that we can actually get the concept very well. So a line is usually written in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. So the point that we are looking for, its value x multiplied by the gradient of the line plus the y-intercept value gives us the value of y. But that is a lot to handle if you don't see how it comes about mathematically. So let's just do it mathematically, okay? So, for example, we have 2 points. Say you have point -2, -3. Let me set this. Sorry. Point -2, -3, and 0.82. Yes, 0.82. Or we could take any points. So if we have these points and you've been told to find the equation of the line, remember a line is straight, it has 2 points, and it has a slope. So these are 2 points. If you join them, they'll give you something that is straight and it will have a slope, okay? So the first thing that you're supposed to do, when I was a student back in school handling this topic, the first thing that I used to do is I used to first of all try and envision how the points looked like when joined together, okay? I'll try and envision, and I'll do this by first of all drawing a Cartesian plane. Just draw a simple Cartesian plane. By drawing a simple Cartesian plane, try and sketch wherever you think the points are, okay? Like this one is at point -2, -3. So let's say these are -2 here. Let's say these are -3. Wherever they meet, that's our point, okay? So this is going to be our point -2, -3. And then we have our point 8, 2. X is 8, y is 2, okay? So let's say this is our 8 and this is our 2 here. So we have our point 8, 2, right? And then don't have a ruler here. Let me just join them by hand and hope that it works out. Okay, so that's our line, right? We have our line at point -2, -3, and we have it at point 8, 2, right? So we want to write it in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. So the y is usually the arbitrary value that is left alone. Once you multiply this and add this, you get the value of y. Now, let's do this. We want to do what? We want to first of all get the m, okay? We want to first of all get the m. And then we're going to get the c. And then we're going to get the general formula of the line, right? And then I'll show you how you use the general formula of the line. Okay? I hope that won't take a long time. So m, as we said, is equals to change in y, or change in the rise, all over change in x, change in the run, which is equals to y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So this is an x coordinate, this is a y coordinate, this is an x coordinate, this is a y coordinate. Let's call this x1 and this y1, okay? Let's call this x2 and this y2, right? Let's continue. So we fill in the values. What's our y2? Our y2 is this. This is 2. So it's going to be 2. Minus what is our y1? Our y1 is -3. -3. All over. What is our x2? Our x2 is 8. minus. What is our x1? Our x1 is negative 2. So this gives us what? This gives us 5 all over 10. Right? That gives us 5 over 10. And that's the same as 0.5. So we have gotten our m to be 0.5 from this equation. So how the line rises is at a rate of 0.5 when you check the change in y all over the change in x. So once we've gotten our m, what's the next thing that we're supposed to get is our c. Okay? The next thing that we're supposed to get is our c. And remember, I told you that our c is called our y-intercept. This is our y, okay? This is our y, this is our x, okay? This is our y. So where the line is intercepting our y, that is called the y-intercept. And it usually has 2 coordinates also. I told you every point has 2 coordinates, right? If we come here, this point has 2 coordinates, just that we don't know them right now. If we come here, this point has 2 coordinates. So even here, wherever the line is intercepting the y, it has 2 coordinates, okay? One of the coordinates is definitely easy to know because we are looking at this x, okay? Here x was 8. Here x was negative 2. And you know, if you haven't gotten your number lines down, it's going to be difficult to understand whatever I'm talking about. And now we know here, this is our 0, right? 0 going this side, those are going to be negative numbers, and 0 going this side, these are going to be positive numbers. So once we have our 0 here, we know that this point here, the x coordinate is going to be 0. The y coordinate, we are going to give it the arbitrary value c, which we don't know. It's what we are looking for, right? So we have 0.0 c. We have 0.82, we have -2, -3. So if you were to get the change of x all over the change of y of these 2 points, it will be the same as getting the change of x all over the change of y of these 2 points. Okay? Now, and it will, now since we know the change between these 2 points is the same as the change between these 2 points is the same as the change between these 2 points, and we've already gotten the change in these 2 points to be 0.5. So you can also say change between this and this is 0.5, and also change between this and this is 0.5. So we can only just take 1 point and get the c, right? So what is unknown here is only the c. We have the m, okay, sorry. We have the m, which we know is 0.5, is equivalent to our y. Let's say this is going to be our y2, right? This is going to be our x2, and now we change this from being our x1, y1, and we put it here, right? Because we want to find c. I really hope you're together. I believe we are. So when we take the y2 to be 2, we're just feeding values, minus y1, this is now our x1, y1, minus y1 to be c, which is we are looking for, all over, and our x2, which is 8, minus our x1, which is 0, will give us what? Will give us the gradient, or the rise over run, or the slope, which is 0.5. Okay? So let's do this. Let's cross multiply this and then we look for c, right? So 8 minus 0 is 8. So we're going to have 0.5 multiplied by 8 is equals to 2 minus c, right? That is going to give us 4 is equals to 2 minus c. That is going to give us 4 minus 2 is equals to minus c. That's going to give us 2 is equals to minus c. Now we want c, we don't want negative c. So it means divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So, So we have this multiplied by 8 is equals to 2 minus c, gives us 4 is equals to 2 minus c, gives us 4 minus 2 is equals to negative c, and so that 2 is equals to negative c, divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. We now have our 2, negative 2 is equals to c. So we've gotten our c to be negative 2. Okay? We've gotten our c to be negative 2. So it means we can now rewrite our equation, which is y is equals to m. M is 0.5. X plus c. C is negative 2. Okay? A plus and a minus gives you a minus. So y is equals to 0.5 x minus 2. So this is the general formula of the equation. Okay? So probably if you come here, what I was trying to say is, if you have this general formula now, if you come to a place like, let's say 8,2, 8,2 is up here. If you come to a place like, let's say 8,2, okay, if you take the x coordinate, okay, and feed it in here, it's supposed to give you the y coordinate. So let's try and see that. Okay, so we have one of the points as 8,2. So we want to take y is equals to 0.5 multiplied by the x coordinate there is 8 minus 2. That's going to be 4 minus 2, and that's 2. And as you can see, now the y coordinate is 2 when we have 8 in the equation. Also, we can do what? We can take this point here, which is negative 2 and negative 3. We expect that when we input negative 2 in the equation, we are going to get negative 3 as the output. Okay? That was the whole essence of looking for the equation, right? So let's see if we input negative 2, whether we are going to get negative 3. So y is equals to m, which is 0.5, multiplied by x, which is negative 2, minus 2. That gives us negative 1 minus 2, which gives us negative 3. And as you can see, the point there is negative 2, negative 3. So for summary, let's see how I can do a summary here. When given 2 points, it is prudent that you first of all do what? You first of all draw them in a Cartesian plane to have an idea of what you are drawing or of what you are working with. Then from there, go get the m, go get the gradient first of all, or go get the slope. Once you get the slope, which is our m, it is gotten by change in y over change in x. Change in y is the change in rise, all over change in x is the change in the run. Okay, So that's gotten by getting one point, giving it the x1, y1 subscript, and then the other point giving it the x2, y2 subscript, and then going to the equation, you know that you have y2 minus y1, which will give you the change in the run, all over x2 minus x1, which will give you the change in the run. This y2 minus y1 is the rise, x2 minus x1 is the run. That will help you get the slope. After getting the slope, what else do we do? After getting the slope, we have to get the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is easy. It's very, very easy to get because it usually has the same coordinates. It's usually coordinates 0 and c. Nothing changes. Even if it was up here, it would have been coordinate 0 and c, and so we look for the coordinate c once you have gotten the m. So you just feed into the equation. You have the m already. You take one point, either it's this one or this one, to be your y2, okay, and x2, and then you feed in the 0 and c as your y1 and x1. And then from there, once you do the calculation, you're going to get the what? You're going to get your c. Once you get your c, just go into the format of the equation, which is usually y is equals to mx plus c, and feed in x, m, and also c. I believe that's what I had for today, and I believe it's helped you. So stay blessed.